This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Anatomy lab shut down. Dal medical students will not train with cadavers this school year.
Mining portal. The province launches an online tool to streamline business for the mining sector.
And goodbye eyes. Why these painted rocks on Highway 103 will soon disappear.
Quiet for Wednesday, but a system spinning off to our south will throw some moisture into the mix for Thursday. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. Medical students at Dalhousie University won't be learning anatomy by working with cadavers this year.
The school has stopped work on real specimens because of air quality concerns in the anatomy lab on campus. The CBC's Carolyn Ray has the details.
Anatomy classes in medical school typically rely on hands-on experience with donated bodies, but now Dalhousie has to take a different approach. The anatomy lab has been shut down because it failed air quality testing here at the Tupper building. Dal refused to do an interview with CBC. Instead, it sent a lengthy note that went out to medical students explaining that they won't be working with cadavers at all in this school year. It says the lab was tested over the summer, and the school discovered that the formaldehyde levels no longer meet provincial standards. The letter says this was the first time formaldehyde was tested in a decade, and when the tests were underway, Dal discovered that Nova Scotia changed the rules. It lowered the acceptable levels back in 2017. The school did not explain why it had not conducted tests in 10 years. The university says New Brunswick's rules allow for higher levels of formaldehyde. Testing is now underway in St. John, but for now, all work with cadavers is on hold at the three campuses. That's St. John, Cape Breton, and here in Halifax. Now, Dalhousie says medical students will be learning anatomy this year by watching videos, using skeletal material and models. The government of Nova Scotia says it's aware of the problem, but it's up to Dalhousie University to find a long-term solution. Dalhousie told the students it knows they have a lot of questions and it's working on the answers. But it says even though they won't get hands-on experience with real bodies, the medical students will be able to meet their learning objectives through these alternative teaching techniques. Carolyn Ray, CBC News, Halifax.
A person is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after being shot by police this afternoon in Eastern Passage. Just before 2 p.m., RCMP responded to a report of a physical assault at a residence on Cedar Lane. During the response, an officer discharged their firearm. Police say a person sustained injuries consistent with a gunshot wound. The RCMP did not identify the person who was shot or specify if they were a suspect. No one else was injured. The serious incident response team is now investigating.
Nova Scotia's health authority says more than 6,500 people were taken off the Need a Family Practice registry between September the 1st and October the 1st. As of the beginning of October, around 77,000 people are now on the list. That number was just over 84,000 at the start of September. Nova Scotia Health says that accounts for people who were newly added to the registry, those who were removed because they were attached to a family doctor or nurse practitioner, or because they no longer needed a family physician. The new number means about 7.3% of the population is on the list.
Nova Scotia is taking another step to try to make it easier for mining companies to do business. The province has started a new online portal called Nova Mine, which is aimed at streamlining the permitting process. Gareth Hampshire has that story.
The launch of the online portal Nova Mine is the latest move from the province, demonstrating what the minister describes as being open for business and hoping to grow the natural resources sector. The new tool will streamline the permitting process for mining, providing a status checker for licenses, permits and approvals in a single place.
There was just that fragmented idea of how permits were processed, the unknown of where the file was at different times. So basically, this is just streamlining an efficient process that at the click of a button, a proponent or an agent of the proponent can actually click the button and see where they're at.
The minister says the process will be faster without cutting corners and is necessary as part of the bigger strategy to grow the economy to help pay for investments in healthcare, roads and homes.
We do know that there's a lot of interest in our critical minerals in Nova Scotia. We've seen that in the last few years.
The portal's being welcomed by the company Next Gold, currently waiting on federal approval for a gold mine project in Guysborough County.
So instead of me having to call somebody in a department and multiple people in a department, now I have the ability to sign in and see where a permit stands, what the timelines are, some basic information.
The information that is online can only be seen by those behind the application and not the public, something the NDP critic thinks should be looked at, considering there's strong community interest. Referencing the petition with more than 7,000 names of people asking to bring back the moratorium on uranium exploration.
So people want information, they want to know what's happening in their communities. I think this would be a great way to demonstrate to community that the government wants to listen to Nova Scotians.
I'm not going to commit to that today, but as things grow, we always look to evolve and improve things. But where it is required, the public will be notified and updated as nothing's going to change.
The project is in phase 1 with further developments on the way, including online payment services. Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Halifax.
The Lake George wildfire is now under control. The fire has been burning since the end of September in Kings County. Over the long weekend, the Department of Natural Resources posted an update on social media saying the fire is not expected to grow beyond the current estimated 288 hectares.
Several towns in Nova Scotia experienced their driest 3 months on recording, including Amherst, Greenwood, and Truro. New data from the Canadian Drought Monitor shows the province received less than 40% of its normal precipitation. The largest rainfall deficits were along the Bay of Fundy and the western half of the province. It's prompted municipalities to mandate water conservation rules. People are also dealing with dry wells, and farmers across the region are facing smaller yields.
The whole Atlantic region was very dry through September, and that includes Nova Scotia, increasing widespread and severe precipitation deficits through the region.
Gwen says there will be long-term consequences from the drought. He says plant roots are too stressed and may not be able to grow to their full size.
And now to have a quick look at the weather forecast, here's Ryan Snoddon.
Yes, lots of concern about the dry conditions and lots of fingers crossed for rain.
Yeah, that's right. And the Canadian Drought Monitor updating their map late Friday. And of course, this is the first time we've had a chance to share it with you on this program. So I'll show it here. And again, those areas Amy just mentioned, Truro, Amherst, back to Greenwood, the driest 3-month stretch there on record for the months of July, August, September. That is an exceptional drought. I mean, this is decades and decades since we've seen conditions like this for much of this region, along through the Annapolis Valley into the Cumberland, Colchester area. And you can see across basically most of northern Nova Scotia and into Cape Breton in the extreme drought, and we're all at least into a moderate drought. And so the relief, when will it come? And we hope, again, with every passing system, a couple of isolated showers overnight. And then for Wednesday, it looks like some increasing clouds, but a dry day overall. A system spinning to our south will bring some showers into the mix for Thursday, but it's next week that really is looking the most hopeful. We'll talk about that a little more with your 7-day.
All right.
All right.
Do stay tuned for that. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Canada Post is resuming postal services this week. That's after striking workers across the country moved on Saturday from a nationwide walkout to rotating job action at specific locations. Allison Stevens runs a small costume jewelry business in Hants County. Normally, Stevens could ship by letter mail, but her sales took a hit during the strike because she had to move to much more expensive courier shipping. Stevens says there are limited courier options in her rural area.
We have people that don't have vehicles. They need to be able to walk to their post office. They need to be able to send communication, important documents. I think it's really important to keep those post offices open. I would be okay with getting my mail, 2-3 days a week, as long as it meant that I could go drop off what I need to go drop off or get what I need to get at the post office itself.
Canada Post has said customers should expect delays.
Canadian lumber is taking another hit from U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. New tariffs announced last month are now in effect. They include a global tariff of 10% on all softwood lumber and timber entering the U.S., including from Nova Scotia. Products from this province are exempt from the 35% duty already in place under CUSMA. Canada is the source of about 85% of the softwood lumber entering the U.S.
Players from across Canada competed in the Maritime Open Chess Championship in PEI this weekend. The three-day tournament included a surprise appearance by world-renowned chess grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura, the world's second-ranked chess player. And one young chess player from Halifax had the chance to take him on.
I didn't even expect him to be here. I saw him at breakfast, before the game, and I was like, hey, is that Hikaru? I was like, no way he's coming here, right? I was like, probably someone, I was like, that's no way it's him, right? So I didn't say hi, and then next time I saw him, I was like, I was paired against him, so I was so excited. Yeah, I was really happy.
I just hope that for the player I played, Michelle Zhang, she has the opportunity to compete against the strongest players in Canada, primarily in Toronto.
This is the Maritime Chess Festival, the 7th year that we've had the event here at Credit Union Place in Summerside. Yesterday, the players had a huge surprise with the registration of Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru is the #2 player in the entire world. I just basically found out on Friday that he was going to show up. Pretty well unannounced.
Well, I need to play games to qualify for a tournament, which happens early next year, and so it's one of the ways to do it, and it's a chance to give back to the chess community.
I do watch his streams a lot. It's obviously a great experience. I also learned a lot from him. He plays move really quick. He does put a lot of pressure, and he does I can tell that he was trying to stay calm. Maybe he underestimated me a little bit, but yeah. I wish that I maybe had a better result, but yeah, at the end I did get under low time, and I just kind of blundered at the end. Started playing when I was 6 years old, and my brother, my older brother, he went to the library, there's a central library in Nova Scotia, and there he saw a label on the door chess in the library. So and then he was really interested, so he walked in, and then he learned about chess. He said that it was really fun. So when I was 6 years old, maybe 5 or 6, I forgot, but he started teaching me how to play chess.
Yeah, she's a good player. Like I said, the experience is really critical. I think here in PEI or Nova Scotia, there aren't that many strong players, and chess is a game where, in order to improve, you have to play against players who are better than you are. So hopefully she'll have those opportunities to compete against the best players in the country.
Yeah, she could be really good. You never know.
Thrill of a lifetime.
An unofficial landmark just off Nova Scotia's Highway 103 will soon be no more.
A set of boulders painted to look like eyes will be blasted by the province later this month to make way for the twinning of the highway.
Jason Smith is one of the original artists behind the eyes who painted them in October of 2017.
Kind of sad to see them go, but if they got to go, they got to go. I travel the highway quite a bit, right? I drive dump trucks and heavy machinery, and the cutting crew went through there one summer, and they cleared all the bushes away, and all of a sudden those rocks were sitting there. I never seen a better canvas for a rock art anywhere than when those popped out, right? So I kind of got a hold of Neil, and we better get on this before somebody else does, type of thing, right? Initially, it was going to be emojis, right? So we went out there, and then we thought, well, this would be a great project for the kids, and figured that somebody might get upset if they see two men painting rocks, but if it's a family art project, it'll fly under the radar a little bit better, right? So we were painting them, and, traffic started picking up, and people were, honking the horns, and then somebody from the Department of Highways showed up. So he comes up and was asking us if we had a permit. Neil popped his head out from what he was doing and said, oh, yeah, they're permanent, all right. That Sunday, they got graffitied up with something pretty nasty, right? So we went out on the following Monday, and we touched over the graffiti, and then we were trying to figure out what we were going to put for an emoji, right? We stepped back and looked at it and said, that'd make a great set of eyes, right? So Neil kind of, we're kind of like, yeah, I think you're right, we had a good laugh about it. So he went up, made one of the pupils on it, and then we stood back, and it started coming to life, right? So we put the other pupil on it, and it just kind of, it had a personality after that. We wanted it to be happy, right? We didn't want it to be any kind of crazy art. We wanted it to be something that would make people laugh, and it certainly did that. So I'm quite proud of that, and I'm quite surprised. It was something that we did on a lark for fun and took the kids out and made a great day of it. Just never thought that it would become such a beloved item, right? The legend lives on in pictures and memories, and sometimes those are better, right?
All right, there's a look at Shuby Park in Dartmouth. Ryan's up next with his full weather forecast.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
Well, there were times this weekend, if you're out of the breeze, it was almost hot.
I know.
It was wonderful.
And the sun and just a perfect long weekend. But also the rain coming. So we've got a good balance,
Something
hopefully.
for everyone.
Something for everyone. We were able to get out and enjoy the long weekend, and hopefully everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. And yeah, it definitely was great, but nice to know that we do have some wet weather coming. And, no overall pattern change that we need with, multiple systems back to back to back. That's not coming, at least anytime soon. But nice to see some showers here, and again next week looking pretty good as well. First, let's start with a live webcam shot, and this from Bedeck. If you look closely there, Tom, your yacht is...
Oh, is that where it is? I couldn't remember where I left it.
That's where you were there all weekend, right?
That is an impressive looking yacht there, parked in Bedeck.
Bring that around, would you, Ryan?
I will after the show. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. A beautiful evening there in Bedeck in beautiful Cape Breton, of course, and thanks to Nova Scotia webcams for this look. Now, as we look at the temperatures out there right now, 12 degrees Port Hawkesbury, 10 in Sydney, and you can see that the temperatures across most of the mainland are ranging between, well, 15 degrees in Halifax. We've got 16 still at the airport, most of us in that 14, 15 range. And we look at the weather systems map, cloud cover in the mix. Now, it appears a few showers here over the Digby, Yarmouth, Shelburne area, but from what I can tell, based on the weather stations and the webcams, doesn't look like much of this was actually reaching down to the surface. Now, you can see this line working through New Brunswick. That does have a chance to bring us some, at least spotty showers overnight tonight as that swings through on the northern edge of this system, which has been kind of wrapping itself in there along the coast of the U.S. over the weekend with some rain and wind. We will be continuing to watch this move to the east, and it's going to be funneling up some moisture in this trough, bringing us some much needed wet weather, at least in the form of showers. 6, the high in Winnipeg today, just to give you a sense of the fall air that's spilling into the eastern prairies right now. Temperatures into the teens across most of Atlantic Canada today. Overnight lows tonight will range between about 4 and 8 degrees. Low-lying areas will dip towards 3 or 4. And there is a risk of some patchy inland low-lying area frost for overnight into Tuesday morning. There are those very spotty showers moving through this high-res model. Again, just actually updated about an hour ago. It's really not showing a whole lot from that. For Wednesday, expecting some variable clouds, really. I think we will see some breaks of sun. Clouds look to be a little bit more stubborn towards Cape Breton and eastern areas, but I think we'll call it a sun-cloud mix for the mainland. But there'll be times where for hours it really does dominate cloud cover-wise, and then a break, and then it does look like we'll cloud up again late day in through the west, and a chance for some, again, showers, but spotty showers here from Cumberland back into the valley and Cobequid Bay toward the end of the day and more so into the evening. 14, 15 degrees for most of Cape Breton tomorrow. Again, a light northerly wind for Inverness, and it looks like a bit of an onshore wind here, 5 to 15, so it's going to be pretty variable winds for Cape Breton tomorrow. 15 to 17 for eastern parts of the mainland, a little cooler there in Guysborough County. Most of central in that 14 to 16 range, and back into the west. Temperatures here with an onshore wind, Annapolis, Royal, Digby, Port Maitland, down through Meteghan, 13 degrees, but most will climb into the 15, 16, even 17 range toward the Bridgewater area. Thursday, a developing east to northeast flow. Here, temperatures actually cooler in the west because it looks like we will see the best chance for showers in the west on Thursday, limiting our temperatures. Chance for some more isolated, but certainly showers in the mix for Cape Breton and eastern parts of the mainland. But again, the best chance is going to be right here. There's the low off to our south and funneling up in through that trough. The trough swings down, and so we get into actually a bit of a drier stretch for Friday, still with the chance for some isolated showers and drizzle. That northerly flow on Friday looks like it'll gust 40, 50 kilometers per hour, so a bit of a raw feel for Friday, more so than it will on Thursday. Saturday looks like we're better chance for some sunny breaks, especially into the afternoon. Sunday looks like our winner for the weekend. Monday not looking bad, and then Tuesday and especially Wednesday, Thursday, Tom and Amy, keeping our fingers crossed that we're going to get some wet weather again, more beneficial than this week's shot.
Sounds like Sunday's the day to get the yacht. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll do that.
That's
We'll
right.
make a trip.
Okay.
That's right. Don't forget your friends.
Thanks, Skipper.
Thanks,
All right.
Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
Bye.
Well, a growing number of PEI farmers are using drones to get a head start on the season and an eye from the sky.
Some say the technology is going to become the new norm in agriculture, similar to the introduction of GPS a decade ago. The CBC's Nancy Russell has that story.
Drones are becoming more common on farms across Prince Edward Island. They're used for everything from scouting for crop disease to doing seeding while the ground is still frozen. This is Chad Mooney's newest tool, the latest technology in North America.
In drones in general, I spent some time in the military before coming back to the farm. Obviously seen drones used in the military quite a bit while I was in uniform. So when I came back to the farm, I seen it as a tool that would be very useful in our applications for finding things in fields and seeing things from the sky.
Mooney works for his family's farm, as well as operating the drone business.
So this year so far, we probably have around 1,500 acres cover cropped island-wide, from West Cape all the way to East Point. And a lot of it started in March timeframe, where you do what's called frost seeding. So you spread a seed into frozen ground, and the freeze-thaw cycle allows the seed to work itself in. You would never dream of taking a tractor in, early April in to do seeding. However, this year we started in early March, and we seeded all the way, to now.
This summer, Mooney was part of a project through the PEI Department of Agriculture looking at using the drone to apply fertilizer more efficiently.
Cost savings for sure for the farmer. Environmental is definitely a big benefit if we can have less environmental impact with drones.
Mooney received some climate change funding for an earlier drone, but this one cost more than $60,000. His company charges between $10 and $15 an acre for seeding and spraying, and farmers seem willing to pay.
A ground sprayer, self-propelled, they're probably up towards $1 million. So, yeah, I think that's a big cost benefit.
Mooney compares it to the introduction of GPS, now used daily by farmers for driving their tractors and managing their fields.
I talked to some folks at the department that have been around for 30 years, and they said it's cool to see two transformations in their career, one which was GPS and the next being kind of drone-applied cover crops and spray. So I think as of the next 5 years, it may still be unique, but I think in 10 years' time, we'll look back and say, yeah, every farm has a drone now.
The way of the future, coming soon over a field near you. Nancy Russell, CBC News, Chepstow.
Coming up, Nova Scotia scores an A- on a national vaccine report card, a dramatic improvement from its failing grade the year prior. Nova Scotia is getting high marks on a national vaccine report card. CanAge, a seniors advocacy organization, evaluated all 13 provinces and territories on their efforts to vaccinate older adults. And for more on this, we're joined by Jana Ray, COO of CanAge. So Nova Scotia received second place with an A-, a big jump from an F in 2023-24. What changed in your view?
Well, the funding of several vaccines, first and foremost. Nova Scotia, like several other jurisdictions, failed to modernize some of their pneumococcal vaccines in that first year, and so that resulted in the much lower grade. Also, Nova Scotia particularly had promised older adults for several years, actually, that they were looking to fund the shingles vaccine. And it took them several years to do it, but finally that came to fruition. So that's why we're seeing such a significant change is, around the vaccines that they are funding and moving forward on, as well as some, other measures to make vaccines accessible, as well as to drive better awareness of them in the province.
Are there other changes you'd like to see Nova Scotia take to further improve that grade?
Yes, absolutely. I think that there's, we'd like to see where that shingles vaccine is expanded beyond its current its current coverage. So we'd like to see where we're seeing that leadership role kind of happening across Canada for 50 plus. So we would like to see that, and also, there have been some recommendations coming from NACI, the National Advisory Committee on Immunization, where we're seeing they're starting to shift their attitudes around RSV as well. So we took a meet or exceed approach, as we're seeing several jurisdictions doing that with vaccines, and so we took the same kind of approach to see where jurisdictions may very well meet NACI standards as a baseline threshold, and where they might have the opportunity to also exceed those coverages for older adults in their community.
Well, talk to me a bit about the other provinces and territories and what you found, what kind of trends there were.
Well, we've seen some, obviously, we've seen in Eastern Canada some really great strides and moves. Eastern Canada really leading the pack this year. However, in some other jurisdictions, not the same. We're actually seeing things go a little backward. We're seeing Alberta and Quebec stopping their public funding of COVID vaccines, and also funding only certain vaccines, for example, for only a portion of the population that really should be getting those vaccines. And so those are of great concern to us. We're seeing similar sort of trends in BC as well. Those are very concerning trends that we're seeing in certain jurisdictions. But in other ones, like for example, Yukon, we are seeing similar sort of pacing, like with Eastern Canada, and where they're making some great strides to protecting their older adults.
Well, what do you think the factors are that's leading to this sort of growing divide among the regions?
Well, I think it's a combination of, there's always, the funding question is certainly a part of it. I think that there are some, divisions of understanding around what that impact really looks like. But the reality is, and so I'll just give you an idea in terms of, say, pneumococcal vaccines. In the last several years, there have been, on average, more than 65,000 ER visits for community-acquired pneumonia. And this is exactly what the pneumococcal vaccine protects against. And so when you multiply that by, on average, about 5 hours per visit in an ER, in addition to being admitted into ICU or, maybe spending some time in the hospital on a respirator, these kinds of things, as well as then being discharged into community and potentially with some additional supports. You can see how those costs really add up. And we're not even talking about sort of the social debilitation for the individual and the lack of functional ability for that individual as well, whether or not they recover. That could all be resolved, frankly, by having a vaccine, and so that's really important, where we're seeing these kinds of things happening, and we want to see where different jurisdictions are stepping up to the plate and making sure that they are enabling for older adults to live and age well, because we are seeing, in certain provinces, and especially in Eastern Canada, where we're seeing a lot more seniors, certainly within those provinces.
All right, well, we'll have to leave it there. We appreciate your time today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, the fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas continues as attention turns to what comes next for Gaza.
And after 2 years of diplomatic tension, India and Canada have agreed on a series of steps to rebuild trust and bilateral ties. Welcome back. Hamas has handed over the bodies of 4 more dead hostages to Israel. It comes after Israel accused the militant group of being too slow in returning all the remains still in Gaza and said it is reducing humanitarian aid coming into the enclave in response.
This, as many questions and concerns remain about key parts of the tenuous U.S. peace plan for the region. Crystal Gamansing reports from Jerusalem.
Israeli forensics teams are being called on once again. They will have the task of identifying remains delivered tonight to them. 4 coffins delivered from the Red Cross to Israel Defense Forces and then taken to that forensics identification building. It is there that the work will be done to confirm those remains. Now, Israel is saying that Hamas is not fulfilling its obligations when it comes to this peace agreement, and because it says there are violations, Israeli officials say they will not allow the Rafah border crossing to reopen, and they're also saying that they will limit the amount of aid going into Gaza tomorrow, cutting the number of aid trucks in half from 600 to 300. We have also heard from the U.S. president, who says that Hamas needs to hand over all of the remains immediately.
We did something monumental. We got the hostages back. That was the first thing we had to do. Above all else, get the hostages back. Now, they misrepresented because we were told they had 26, 24 of dead hostages, if we can use those terms. And it seems as though they don't have that because we're talking about a much lesser number. But that's a very tough subject. I want them back.
Now, this ceasefire is holding, but we have seen challenges today, including an incident involving the IDF and some civilians. Israel Defense Forces say a number of individuals approach what they call the yellow line. That's the area that troops move back to. Israel says they issued warnings. People did not listen to those warnings, and so they opened fire. Individuals in Gaza who spoke with a freelance journalist who works with CBC said that they were not near that yellow line in the north of Gaza, and that these were just young people who wanted to see their homes.
يعني انت عارف هدول اطفال وما لهمش لا هم مقاومه ولا نيله ولا حاجه فاحنا بدنا خلص وقفت اطلاق النار خلص وقفت اطلاق النار ليش تضربوا في الناس.
So a number of elements in play today, everyone continuing to hope that the ceasefire holds and that more hostages, the remains of hostages, will be returned. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says India has agreed to readmit all Canadian diplomats 2 years after the relationship between the two countries ruptured. It's part of a new agreement to rebuild trust and bilateral trade ties between Ottawa and New Delhi. But Anand says it will be a gradual, step-by-step process. The CBC's Salima Shivji reports.
This is billed as a reset of the Canada-India relationship. Canada's Foreign Minister Anita Anand started the trip with a brief meeting with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Then she sat down with her counterpart, India's External Affairs Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar, as well as the Commerce Minister here. And today she's in back-to-back meetings with business leaders and investors here in Mumbai. And the reigning theme here is positivity, rebuilding trust and renewing momentum. But it has to be said that most importantly, this is about both countries being pragmatic. Both are dealing with punishing tariffs from an unpredictable partner, the United States. And in that framework, restoring Canada-India ties and this relationship, which has been in tatters for 2 years after allegations of the Indian government allegedly being involved in killing a Canadian Sikh activist on Canadian soil, rebuilding those ties is seen as a necessary economic reality. And that's where the will to quietly manage the differences in the relationship instead of amplifying them is coming from.
We are in a moment where economic diplomacy, pragmatism is of crucial importance.
But of course, questions of security, of transnational repression, the practice of a government going outside of its borders to silence or intimidate critics won't go away so easily. New Delhi sees Canada as too soft on what it calls Khalistani agitators, and that view hasn't changed. When I sat down with the Foreign Affairs Minister earlier today, I asked her how she brought up these issues. Here's what she said.
At every stage, in every conversation, yesterday, while I was in New Delhi, I made sure to bring up many topics within the public safety mold, including transnational repression, including public safety, including an independent RCMP investigation, including outlawing the Bishnoi gang.
But Anand will want to keep the focus on her message of economic diplomacy when she lands in Singapore and later China, another country where the diplomatic tensions have remained high. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Mumbai.
One person is dead and 2 are still missing after the remnants of a powerful typhoon hit several small indigenous communities in Alaska over the weekend. It brought hurricane-force winds, ravaging storm surges, and floodwaters that swept away homes. As Juanita Taylor reports, the aftermath is revealing a long road to recovery.
49 coastal communities in western Alaska have been hit by the remnants of Typhoon Halong. That's according to the Alaska Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Homes uplifted and swept away in a chaotic surge of rising water.
The house is unlivable. We can't live in there anymore. This is the worst ever. Kipnuk is totally wiped out.
Carter lives in Kipnuk, Alaska, a Yupik village where roughly less than 600 people live, where communication was cut off. The Alaska Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is working to set up satellite internet. In a press release yesterday, it says Kipnuk's runway has also been damaged. Another community, Quigalingok, also got hit and has lost power. Roughly 400 people live there. That's where Alaska state troopers say one woman was found dead and 2 people are still missing. The U.S. Coast Guard has been deployed and a drone will be used to help in search and rescue efforts. Dramatic video shows people getting rescued from rooftops. Weather Services says a significant storm surge saw hurricane forces reaching 160 km/h winds.
The remoteness of some of these villages, it's hard to get information to people in a lot of these areas. And for some people, the storm came so quickly, the floodwaters rose so quickly, it was too late before they got the warning.
People who have been displaced, some of them have been sheltering in schools, but efforts are being made to find them somewhere more suitable. Food, water, and other essentials are being coordinated to get to those who need them the most. Now, it's not clear when we will know the full extent of the damage, but what we do know is that it will be a long road to recovery. Juanita Taylor, CBC News, Yellowknife.
It's Election Day in Newfoundland and Labrador. Voters will be deciding whether to bring back the Liberals, in power for a decade in that province, or put a new party in charge. The CBC's Brett Ruskin is covering the vote and the issues. He's outside a polling station in Torbay near St. John's.
Some picturesque polling stations here across Newfoundland and Labrador with the North Atlantic rumbling against the cliffs, and polling stations like this open across the province. Voters casting their ballots perhaps for the 3 main parties. Again, we have Tony Wakeham in charge of the Progressive Conservatives. We have John Hogan, leader of the Liberal Party, and Jim Nin, who is the leader of the NDP. Now, each one of these leaders, this is their first election leading their parties, because we saw Andrew Furey, the former premier and former leader of the Liberal Party, stepping down the last year or so, replaced by John Hogan. And then we also saw the 2 other parties' leaders not win their seats in the last 2021 election. And so new parties, new leaders of each party all around. Now, what are some of the topics, some of the issues being discussed by voters, top of their minds? Could be the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding. That's that framework agreement that has been agreed upon between the Newfoundland and Labrador government and the Quebec government to have Quebec purchase more of the electricity generated by the Churchill Falls hydroelectric project. So the Liberals say it is a good deal that should be finalized. The Progressive Conservatives, the NDP, argue that there needs to be more transparency, a better review process to ensure that there hasn't been more left on the table through those negotiations. As this is a provincial campaign, a provincial election as well, one of the main responsibilities for provincial governments is to provide healthcare. So healthcare, one of the main topics of discussion being talked about by the leaders. They talked about that at the debate that was hosted by CBC News last week. Here's what a few of them had to say.
Better health care, lower taxes, safer communities for all of us. And we've been talking about that since the campaign began, because the number one issue in this campaign is not the MOU or the secret deal with Quebec. It's actually health care.
So we have recognized that the amount of money spent on travel nurses over the last number of years, particularly since COVID, when there was a mass exodus of nurses from the system, has gone down drastically. In fact, we've reduced it by about 40% over the last number of years. So we need to continue to working on getting more nurses in the system. I think we've hired over 1,300 nurses in the last couple of years.
We have a plan. We've laid it out in our COSTA platform, a 4-year COSTA platform, about recruiting 1,000 new healthcare workers, about prioritizing recruiting allied health professionals, about expanding the nurse travel locum program province-wide, about creating 20 new seats at medical school, about implementing memberships. How about this? Paid work terms for nursing students, not only nursing students, but also education students and social workers.
So whether it's healthcare, that big agreement with Quebec, or how best to handle the deficit that Newfoundland and Labrador finds itself in, voters will be casting their ballot and continuing on throughout the day today before ballots and votes start to be counted later on this evening. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Torbay, Newfoundland, Labrador.
The rising cost of living has also seen a rise in payday loans. CBC News has obtained data showing a massive increase in the number of payday loans being taken out in New Brunswick, and the average amount being borrowed is also significantly higher. Rachel Cave reports.
When it comes to paying the bills, more and more New Brunswickers are turning to payday loans. In 2020, New Brunswickers borrowed more than $5 million, and year over year, they've been borrowing more and more, ticking past $20 million last year. The rules say one loan per time, per customer, per lender, but there's nothing to stop a consumer from spreading their loans around.
We do see people with multiple payday loans, and really, when we see that, a lot of times people will say to us, I had no choice.
The federal government set a new limit on fees this year, a maximum $14 per $100 borrowed. That adds up to a $42 charge to borrow $300. That's more than the cost of borrowing on a line of credit, overdraft protection, or a cash advance on a credit card. Money in Your Pocket in St. John's North End is the only licensed storefront in the province. CBC News stopped by several times, but lately it's been closed. The other licensed payday providers are all online. Speedy Cash, iCash, GoDay, and Loan Express, promising loan approvals within the same day, within the hour, or even within minutes.
So that immediate need or the ease is what they're looking for. It could be those who are vulnerable community members that just don't know the other options that they have.
If the loan is not repaid on time, the lender can charge a $20 fee plus interest at a rate of 2.5% per month.
And it revolves. You take a loan this month, you pay it the next month, you have to take another one the next month because you've used next month's paycheck to pay last month's loan.
People who teach financial literacy say just about any other type of credit is better. But they also hear borrowers say the rising cost of food and housing is making it harder to cover the essentials, let alone an unexpected expense such as a car repair. And they hear many people feel they have no choice. Rachel Cave, CBC News, St. John.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
All right, back to wrap things up. Ryan's picks on the way here. And leaves or sunset? What do you think it's going to be?
No, it has to be leaves. The colors are just popping this weekend.
Yeah, leaves indeed. And because they won't be lasting for too much longer, which is, sad to say. But have a look at our viewer picture of the day. So this one, we're going to zoom in. This is the Cape Breton Cabot Trail, just outside of Ingonish, looking down towards Ingonish.
Oh, isn't that gorgeous?
They know their fall leaves there, don't they?
Yeah.
The colors,
that is impressive.
Just popping.
Really popping nicely. It seems that, the drought conditions haven't really impacted the color. As we've been commenting, things are early this year, but based on what folks are saying, a week to 10 days, or maybe even a little bit more, depending on your backyard, but absolutely stunning colors across most of the province. Now, as we look at the outlook, we'll see a couple of isolated showers along that weak little front moving through overnight tonight. Tomorrow's pretty quiet, a variable cloud cover type day. We're going to see some sun, but don't be surprised if the cloud does dominate at times, especially into the afternoon. And then that trough that you can see kind of filling up in green there from New Brunswick to western Nova Scotia, holding hands with this system off to the south. That's going to be our greatest chance for showers on Thursday. Still doesn't look like we're going to see anything above maybe 5 to 10 millimeters at the most. And that low will kind of rain itself out, unfortunately, to the south, which is the same old story. High pressure kind of moving in from the west. That will squeeze that low off to the east and kick things out by the time we get to the weekend. Let's get right to that. And you can see for Saturday, kind of gradual clearing throughout the day. Sunday looking pretty good, Monday as well, and a good chance for showers again mid next week.
Something for everyone. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Ryan. Well, how big is a giant pumpkin? Well, growers across PEI competed in the annual Pumpkin Weigh-Off this year.
Hundreds of islanders gathered at Cool Breeze Farms in Summerside, where giant pumpkins were hoisted onto a scale, many weighing hundreds of kilograms. Luke Vesey won the competition. He's the reigning champ. His winning entry weighed in at about 540 kilograms.
Vesey says his goal for next year is a pumpkin that weighs over 590 kilograms. He'll be planting that seed in May.
He's back to defend. You can tell he's already hungry. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.